Being 7 o'clock, I'm going to call the meeting of the Board of Selectmen for Wednesday, September 16th, 2020 to order. First order of business is public comment. Seeing none. Moving on to review of minutes for September 2nd, 2020. What is the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chair. Accept the minutes of the board from the last meeting.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0. Next up, Dr. Steve Meyer, Superintendent of Schools, to give us an update on the first day of school. Welcome.
Keeps you young, Steve.
Thank you.
All right, well, thank you for having me. I just wanted to talk to everyone. I know that there's probably, plenty of articles about what's going on in the school, but I figured I'd want to talk to the Board of Selectmen so you could hear about what we've been working on. Right now, today was our first day. We opened in a hybrid model, which means we had a little over 50% of our kids in school today, and the rest are running remotely, and then next week they'll switch. So we're going 1 week on, 1 week off. So I'd say today overall was a pretty good success. All our procedures seemed to work well. We didn't have any real incidents with anything because kids were wearing masks, happy to be back, following all the procedures. Had to kind of remind them a little bit of social distancing here and there, but overall it wasn't a non-compliance thing. It was a just getting used to it thing. So even some of the situations that you might have been concerned about, the cafeterias and stuff with all the desks spread out, and they what looked like it might not be a real great situation actually ended up, we had the kids in there and they were kind of able to talk to each other. It was nice. It was great to have kids back. I mean, honestly, I think we spent a lot of work over the summer. I can't thank my administrative team enough. They worked harder than I could even ask them to work, just trying to make all the changes all the way right up to the last minute to try to accommodate everyone's requests. And even working with our unions. Unions were very solution focused and helped us to, really come to some agreement to get schools open. So I think it was a great team effort, and I'm so glad that we were able to get the kids back today. I shared you this newsletter. It kind of goes over some of those things, talks about some of the safety measures. It's really around wearing a mask, physical distancing, hand washing, hand sanitizing, and trying to keep your students home when they're sick. And I think that's the biggest message, if there's anyone watching, is that if you think your student might have symptoms, please keep them home so that we can try to address those symptoms before they might be in close contact with others. There's a few pictures on the back of the first page of the newsletter I gave you. Starting from the top, that first one is just a touchless hand sanitizer. There's literally hundreds of those around our buildings now, around entrances, elevators, every classroom, hallways. You can see an example of a corridor there where we kind of divided it so we have one-way traffic. That third picture down is an air purifier. There were some concerns about the ventilation system in the middle school, given the age of the building. So we have air purifiers in every single classroom. We have smaller air purifiers in some of the offices, and we're getting some additional air purifiers as well. That bottom picture is what I was talking about. That's that's what the middle school cafeteria looks like, right? So they have to be 6 feet apart, all facing the same direction. And when you see that picture, it looks like it's kind of, boy, that's not a fun way to eat lunch. But when I was walking through the lunches today, I think the kids, they're 6 feet apart, but they use that time to kind of talk and connect to their friends, and I think that's what it's all about. We're really trying to get the kids back in so we can form a relationship with them, see how they are physically and mentally, and let them kind of connect with their friends a little bit, and we'll try to go with it as long as we can, and as long as the data says it's safe, and then you know, if for some reason at some point we need to switch to fully remote, our plan is developed so we can do that. Hopefully, if it goes well, we can continue to bring more and more kids back on any given week, and maybe eventually end up back in a full return situation. So there's a couple other updates in here. There's not a lot in this newsletter, but the next one's about food service. Just if anyone, the USDA did extend a waiver, so every kid is getting free lunch and free breakfast. So we're doing no cash at all in the buildings. So that has started. That'll run through the end of December. And then the last update in here was just on athletics. So the first day for athletics is Friday. So mostly Friday is going to be primarily meetings with coaches, and we're not running a traditional fall season. It's more the sports that we're running. Just so I don't forget them here. Field hockey, boys soccer, girls soccer, cross country, and golf. So those will be the sports that are running in the fall. No football in the fall. The MIA has created sort of a floating season that's sort of in the spring, kind of sandwiched between the winter and the spring, that they're hoping we might be able to take any sports you were unable to play in the fall and maybe catch up with them in that season later if it's safe at that time. So I think, the other thing is geographical pods. So the MIA has, what they've done is, instead of us traveling and playing our normal league schedule, where we might end up traveling to Tingsboro, or traveling to Winchendon, or traveling different places, it's really a pod system now, where you're only playing schools that are basically geographically around you. So I think the main schools in our pod are like West Boylston, Tohoto. I think our furthest one might be Air, and then and Bromfield, I think, or Harvard might be in it. I'm not sure. They're kind of changing depending on who selected which sport. I think like SLA and Trivia might be in it, but they only have certain sports. So it's trying to just limit that travel so that you're in a pod, and it's not in kind of limiting some of that cross contamination. So, but overall, I think it's been a lot of work. We had 10 days of professional development to open the year to try to get everyone, on the same page, and I think today was pretty successful. I mean, I know Matt lived it, and I know that Sean, I know you were there as a parent, so you might, if I'm saying anything incorrect, please feel free to correct me. But I thought things went smoothly today, and hopefully we'll have another great day tomorrow.
Well, I echo everything that you're saying, and being in the classroom, it was great. There were a lot of kids that came back with smiles on their face. It was probably the closest thing to normalcy we've had since last March, and I think I applaud all the efforts that went into making it happen. I know that the administration team were working very hard to be prepared for whatever model we had to choose, and I can speak personally that I'm happy to be back. Thank you.
Yeah, we're walking this year, and the drop-off procedure was, I thought it'd be a lot trickier. That was easy, and even the pickup was fine. They're using an app this year where you basically just ping them as you're coming up, driving up, or walking up, and the kids are ready, and it took us a couple minutes, but yeah, everything was great. The kids were thrilled. They loved the lanyards. And food service, lunch went fine. My youngest is a big school lunch kid, so yeah, keep it up. I know these aren't easy times for anybody, so we're working our way every bit as we can. So, Ed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Dr. Meyer, thank you for all the hard work that you guys have done. It's a solid plan. You guys did a great job. I just real quickly want to touch on, a big difficulty here is integrating athletics into the school year and trying to keep kids safe at the same time. I'm just curious, we have school sports, we have youth sports. It's kind of a delicate dance, but hypothetically, if students were found to be participating in an organized sport that the state of Massachusetts deems to be high risk, I'm just curious if the schools have considered or have talked about any policies or procedures that would protect the rest of the students from students that are participating in a high-risk sport.
Yeah, so I know there's been a lot of discussion about youth sports, and obviously I'm, in contact with the Board of Health pretty regularly. I'd say Steve and I probably talk 2 or 3 times a week now, and I think it's always it's difficult because as a school, you want to be able to control, you can control the school day, but you can't really, parent and control every single minute of everyone's day. But certainly we'd like to make sure that people are making smart decisions so that hopefully we can keep school open and we don't have some sort of outbreak from something like that. We haven't really looked into it thoroughly yet as far as from a legal standpoint. Could that result in us sort of requiring a student to maybe quarantine or have a negative test or something like that? But I think it is something that's probably a question worth asking. I haven't really heard of it at the state level yet, but it's also something we might want to consider asking at the state level to like the commissioner. We have usually a superintendent's conference call every Wednesday where we kind of go over questions and answers just to see, because I'm sure, I know that there's some of this in Clinton, but I'm sure, if you're a border town, I'm sure it's a lot more prevalent. So, I don't know if they've made any sort of determinations. I haven't heard of any yet, but I know that that's something that we can look into. But, certainly, whatever people are doing, I just hope that whatever they're doing, they're following the guidelines. I know to participate in youth sports in town, anyone's using our field, they have to go through the Board of Health and get all their plans approved. And I know they're doing a great job of going through that process. And we just hope that if people are engaging in those activities, that they're being smart and they're being safe, and that they're following the guidelines that are put in place, because, I think that's the biggest thing. It's just we want to, I know our new data came out tonight, and I know there's a little bit of questions on it. We're still in the yellow, but, but we want to make sure that we're in that range where we can, we feel confident that keeping schools open is the right thing to do. And for that to be possible, I think, we all need to make sure that we're doing our best we can to do those same things that we're trying to do at school all the time. Wearing a mask, social distance, wash your hands, and don't go around others if you're sick. So I know it's a complex problem, but I think it is, it's worth drawing some attention to, because we just want to make sure people are making responsible decisions.
Yep. Yes, thank you. And anything that you guys can do to kind of get ahead of it, I think would be great, because I just think as the year goes on and frustration starts to lay in, and Massachusetts considers some sports high risk, other states around us do not, so there's opportunity in there for some like youth leagues to try to take advantage of that. And I don't think it's that big of a problem right now, but as the year goes on, and especially when we get into like basketball season or something like that, I think it could be more of a problem. So I thank you for answering that question, and I think that you guys have a pretty good handle on it.
I'll try to make sure I bring it up with our athletic director too, to see if there's any more guidance from the MIAA, and try to make sure we put it maybe on a next school committee agenda so that we can have some discussion with our board as well.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any other questions from the board? So does that cover what you want to talk about as far as sports, or? We were going to keep an overlap with the Board of Health in case we needed to talk about the stuff, but, you good?
If he wants to stay while we continue to talk about sports with the Board of Health, he's more than welcome to.
Okay.
But I think he sufficiently answered my question. Yeah. Okay. I mean, the Board of Health might expand on it. I don't know.
Sure. Well, do you guys want to talk? Yeah, why don't we shift over to the Board of Health now, if you don't mind sticking around, Steve?
Well, so what we've done since we last met, we've approved 6 programs right now in town. Youth soccer, football for practice only, non-contact, baseball for practice, and scrimmaging, and coach pitch. As far as programs, we did the alternative care program with Parks and Rec, and they had a one-day basketball camp. So those are the 6 programs that we've approved right now. Like Dr. Myers said, we're still in the yellow. We're at 7.6. We went up a little bit. Not sure why that happened. Nothing out of the ordinary happened around here as far as cases go. So we're going to have the nurse look into that a little bit further tomorrow. But everyone submitted great plans with rosters. We've had the nurse cross-reference the rosters with people who have tested positive, just to make sure that everyone is healthy and before the program gets approved. So right now, we're doing pretty good. We've got 6 programs going. Everyone's been cooperating, and we're recommending no one plays out of town, but we have no control over that. We're not going to allow games to be played in town. We're going to teach them out of town. We've got some signs that are going on the fields, the fields are for Clinton residents only. What we're finding is that a lot of the towns surrounding us have closed their ball fields, and people have been coming here. We've got guys playing soccer at night and on the weekends, and pick up football games and what have you. That's not safe for us. So we're in the process, Tom is, and Russ and John are in the process of putting signs up on all the ball fields. We've notified the police will take notice, and hopefully we can kind of discourage some of these. But so far, so good. Everyone's been cooperating. Yeah, and then come October 1st, hopefully we start trending lower toward the green, hopefully gray, and we can, at that point, look at possibly going out of town and playing some games out of town, or allowing teams to come into town. But, you know, we're still going up. Our case count and our rating is yellow still. We're not far from red, so it's still concerning for us.
The map I saw on the state website was, I think, dated the 9th. How often they update that stuff? Do they tell you guys
Yeah,
once a
more
week.
frequently than once a week?
It just came out tonight.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's concerning.
All right, and just so people know, 8 takes us into the red. Is that right?
8.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we're at 7.8 now, so we're a little too close for
7.6.
comfort. Any other questions about youth sports? All right, we'll move on to the next part. Thank you, Dr.
All
Meyer.
right, thank you, guys.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you, Doc.
The next part is just our attempt to get on the same page with restaurants who have liquor licenses. The governor has extended the emergency order to allow restaurants to serve food and alcohol outdoors. We just wanted to make sure that we were on the same page moving forward, considering it's going to get colder soon, and I just signed a contract this morning for the High Street project to start. So the extended outdoor seating, for one reason or another, might not be feasible, and we wanted to make sure that everybody was on board on the same page. So we'll just go one at a time on here, Mike. Is that the idea? Polish American veterans? Can you just state your name and address?
Hello,
for
my
the
name
record,
is
please?
Mary Johnson. I'm the bar manager at Polish American Veterans on Green Street. What do you want to know?
How do you want to do this, Steve?
Mary, we're just looking to see what your plans are going forward. I know you don't have outdoor seating, but how's it going so far?
It's going pretty slow, but we try. We're following all the guide rules. We serve food. Everyone has to eat when they come in. They always have to wear their mask. Bartender has their mask. We're only open till 7, 4 days a week, and then the others 10. But so far, it's going good. Some people forget once in a while, but we just remind them, you know, if they go to the ladies' room or something. But other than that, it's going good with people following the rules.
We've been in a couple times, and we haven't seen anything out of the ordinary. They've done a good job. We've got no complaints.
Great.
Called into our office, so as far as we're concerned, they're doing all the right things.
Okay. Any questions from the board? Going good. Is there anything we can do to help? Nope. Anything we can do to help, please let us know.
I'm sorry.
If there's anything we can do to help, please let us know.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for coming out.
You want my hours of operation and the food?
Yeah, Mike, can you take those? Spruce Street.
Shane Buffton, Spruce Street Tavern.
How's it going?
It's going okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Could always be busier, but it's
Right.
going okay.
And what about you guys? You're thinking you're gonna stay open?
We're going to stay open as long as we can stay open. Our outside is definitely much larger than our inside.
Yeah.
We really took advantage of it during the good weather, but as it gets bad, inside, our capacity is reduced from 77. We can get 50 social distance apart, minimum 6-foot table to table, which will help, but stay to day, you know. We abide by all the COVID-19 mandates, regulations. Our employees all wear masks. We social distance. We have our cleaning, our sanitizing in place. We have all of our placards posted on the outside of our building coming in. We have one exit in, one entrance in, one exit out with arrows on the floor. I mean, we abide by everything. We have contact tracing records that we keep for 2 weeks and then we shred. We have employee voluntary forms they fill out for COVID-19 symptoms, and we take their temperature prior to their shifts. We haven't had any issues, thankfully, but we'll continue to practice those same things, and hopefully things get better.
Steve?
We've had no issues, no complaints. We've been there a few times. Nothing to report. They seem to be doing all the right things.
Terrific. Questions from the board? Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
We need it.
Crystal Cafe.
Tim Tierney, Crystal Cafe.
How's it going, Tim?
Good, how you doing?
Okay.
We're pretty much not going to be changing anything. We haven't been outside at all, so.
Okay. Steve?
This is all new, then they put a kitchen in
Right.
this year. So the restaurant business, we've got no issues. We've been there a number of times. They do have a complaint. Need to see them investigate, and nothing further as far as we know. But other than that, they're doing fine.
Questions from the board?
Nope, doing a good job.
Good luck, Tim.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in, appreciate it. Turner's.
Hey there.
Hey.
As said, do you want to see these? Keep them or give them to you? Hi, I'm Robin Frank from Turner Hall, and we are definitely looking forward to going inside a little bit, but have been having a good time outside. We're practicing every COVID rule that we can think of. We have our full kitchen inside. We've already set the tables up to be social distanced, and we're abiding by the 25 head count for private parties and 50 outside. But clearly, we're going to have to go in soon, even though we're having way too much fun outside.
Is the pavilion going well?
Is it what,
The
please?
pavilion, how's that working out?
It's still open to the public at 4 o'clock every day.
Okay.
And people have to sign in, of course, and wear their masks. We clean all the tables when they leave and the chairs, and we're having no over-the-bar liquor service. We have a server serving all the food, cleaning the restrooms periodically throughout the shift, and it's been working out great. We'll probably do the same inside, be in at 4 o'clock. It's going to limit us because we have more space outside,
Yeah.
but what are you going to do? You got to do what you got to do.
Right.
And like I said, we're having fun. We've got signage all over the place. We're hoping to have some entertainment again, and we'll work on that with you guys to see how that will work out again. And our hours are going to be 4 to midnight on Monday through Saturday, and then Sundays we're going to open at 1 o'clock for the football games, which will probably be Saturdays as well, because they used to do it that way. We have ventilation with weather permitting. We'll keep the windows open. All people have to sign the book when they come in, and
We display everything with signage, like I said, addressing the social distancing requirements. The food service, I guess that's about it. Restrooms will be limited to one person at a time. We're trying very hard to do what we're supposed to do.
Chairman, I have been down there. They run a very tight ship. And they're watched by Mr. Gadwell, right? The food is actually very good. I would
If you
recommend it.
haven't been, you should come in,
Plug's
because the
free.
food's really good and it's really inexpensive. Tuesday nights, it's Paul cooking, except for other nights when we dump it on him as well. But we have, our basic menu, which is burgers, dogs, chicken sandwich, a sausage, pepper, and onion sandwich, and different salads and side dishes. So that's our basic menu, and then we do specials every night. And they're always homemade and yummy. Yummy. He did 48 steaks last night. Well, it was delicious.
Any other questions from the board? All right, keep up the good work. Let us know how we can help. Thank you.
Thank you.
Simple man?
John Page, the Simple Man.
You guys are on the sidewalk. How's that going?
We're down to 5 tables on the sidewalk at this time. They'll be coming in some point next month.
Okay.
We're focused more on inside stuff and doing what we can, keep some people coming through the doors. Any other questions that you guys?
Steve?
We've inspected him, he follows all the rules, everybody in there is wearing a mask, everybody's social distancing, he's doing a good job.
Okay. Any other questions? Good. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Wrong Way Cafe.
Hello, Megan
Hi.
Davis, Wrong Way Cafe.
You guys are outside too, but that's...
We've been
that's
strictly
your-
outside since reopening, yes. We are planning to go inside. Started to do everything up, but it's not going to start until it gets really cold outside where people don't want to be in. At that point, I will be reducing my days and hours.
Okay.
So, once that comes into fruition, I'll let you know the changes and all that, but right now, we'll still strictly stay outside.
Steve?
Not many. Not many. It looks like I have bracketed to my actual initial bar, just 2 tables bracketed in the bar, 6 feet apart. And it appears that I could probably get maybe 4 or 5 tables in the dining room, if that, yes.
You've had no issues or complaints?
Any other questions from the board? Let us know if there's anything we can do to help. Good luck.
Thank you so much.
Breakaway Billiards. Hi.
Hi, Jim Souza, Joanne Souza from Breakaway Billiards.
And you guys have an arrangement with Lando's? Is that the idea?
I'm sorry?
You have a partnership with Lando's?
Yes, when we built the building, we put a window in specifically for my customers.
Okay. How's that going?
We own that building, so there are tenants.
Okay.
It's going. We have a 469-person occupancy, and we can only have 25 people in there. And
Is that the maximum amount of people? Because it's 7,000 square foot area. Was it 25% of the maximum capacity? Or?
which would be 109 people if that was the case.
Because it is like almost 8,000.
Right. The only change is
25 is the maximum? I'd appreciate that.
we're planning on moving all the pool tables away and moving tables
Because in the
around the
beginning of
bar.
this whole COVID, we were also told that we could make a pool, but things change every day. So, and the pool tables are 9 feet apart. People bring the pools so that's open up maybe out of 8.
Right, so we've been following the
When they
rules.
open up, they'll open up everything, things, none of
No,
Right.
yeah, no, we
We
haven't
understand.
opened anything up. We pushed all the tables aside, so we don't even use any of the tables.
So the only other changes that we're making is, right now, we have 4 picnic tables outside, which are very rarely used, and jersey barriers, those are gonna be gone, maybe in a month and a half before the snow flies, because I have to keep the lot plowed, and nobody's gonna go outside at our place. We have no shelter out there. That's it.
So, the state received a couple complaints, and the ABC seen one a couple of times, but they didn't find anything major. It was just minor things, with patrons not wearing a mask when they get out to go and drink or
Yep.
to use the bathroom. But there's nothing major as far as the operation goes on their part.
And
Yes, they have been done there twice.
And we're pretty big down there, but people come in that we've never seen before, and we've had to kick them out for not wearing their masks. The other day, when the ABC did come down there, a patron went up to play Keno, and he had his mask down like this, and the ABC happened to be there, and that was the verbal complaint we had. So,
And they had also mentioned our tables were about 3 or 4 inches from the bar. It wasn't touching the bar, but it was inches from the bar. They had told us move back, so we moved back a foot and a half
oh, they're
from the
probably
bar, even 2 feet away from
maybe
the
4
bar.
feet.
So there's a huge gap between the bar, that was, that's, more than the 2 or 3 inches from the bar.
We've been following every rule that comes towards us, and we're grateful to stay open at this point.
Yeah, we would just encourage, if you have any questions, I mean, I know this, like you said, it does seem like it changes every day. So
They do.
please reach out if you have a question or,
These guys are
Right, I
great.
hope you don't think my questions are stupid about the pool tables or anything, but there are...
no, I mean, they're opening
whatever
arcades,
pick
but
up
yes.
business for any of us, I'm sure would be appreciated, because
Right.
Right.
things are not what they used to be back in February or March.
No,
The Board of Health has been nothing but helpful to us through this whole thing.
Great.
Not to like grease their wheels or anything, but, you
We've
know.
had questions, we've
I
definitely
mean,
had questions, and we went to them for a question.
Please
Right.
keep reaching out. Yeah, don't assume, because we, you know, if we don't know, we can find out, but it's a lot easier to deal with us than if the state comes in, because they don't care. So we want everybody to keep going safely and hopefully profitably, but we got to be in this together. So
Thank you.
Please let us know if there's anything we can do. Any other questions from the board? No. You guys good?
Hey,
Okay, thanks.
Have a
Good
nice
luck.
night.
Clinton's Bar and Grill.
Good evening.
Hi.
I'm Albert Souza, General Manager.
Elias Kokoris, operator, executive chef.
How's it going?
Everything's going great. Our outdoor seating, as we, in the past week, we see it dwindling down because of the weather. But we're looking for the outdoors once, I mean, I don't think it's going to be, maybe another couple weeks. We don't mind if it's eliminated. We're just going to start putting everybody inside. We're going to use our mezzanine for, we'll put tables upstairs, try to keep have the 6-foot distancing with the tables, and try to put the additional seating to accommodate what we lose outside. But the indoors, we're just going to have to do what we have to do without the outdoor seating. But as of now, the cold weather has affected the outdoors, so it's not something that we want to. There's nothing we want to pursue to keep the outdoors open.
Steve.
We've got a number of complaints.
Can I respond to that? absolutely. Okay, the most of the complaints for my general manager not wearing a mask. I've contacted the state, and I need a clarification on what the law states, okay? And we just recently had the ABCC, Alcoholic Beverage Commission, I'm assuming you know about this, came to our establishment and cited us with violation of our general manager not having a mask. I had a conversation where we received the mail, the email from Nicholas Valles, and the first part of the letter states the violation without having a mask. The second part of the letter that we got, on the last paragraph, the governor order and applicable sector specific safety standards require that restaurants require face coverings for all customers and workers at all times, except when an individual is unable to wear a face covering due to a medical condition or disability. I contacted investigator Nicholas Velez today, before the meeting, and I need a clarification. He said to me, Elias, the first part of the letter, the violation, was written before we checked with the state to find out if that is correct. And you are correct. You are not under violation. You're more than welcome to call Nicholas Velez and have that discussion with him. It's a gray area, but they did check with the state, and that is a mandate by the governor. Now, the town has mandated a new ordinance as of September 22nd, which we will abide by. We will be in compliance. He is under compliance now. We ordered our shields, and we ordered quite a bit of shields for all our staff in the kitchen stuff, because what's happening in the kitchen, in the back area of the kitchen, it's about 140 degrees, and we had the discussion with Adam Kinney in the state. He is the Mass Department of Labor Standards COVID response team. We've had multiple conversations with Adam Kinney discussing how in the back kitchen, how hot it is, and how it's not suitable to be wearing a mask in that high heat.
Is your kitchen hotter than any other kitchen?
It's extremely hot because the ceilings are extremely low. The way that we inherited this kitchen, and the ceiling heights are not what a normal kitchen is. So what happens is the heat stays very, very low, and it's extremely, extremely hot, very hot. So, but what we did is we ordered everybody a shield, which they are coming in. So all my chefs, so that way that mask is not going to suffocate you with that heat, and the new shields are around your neck, not around your head. That gives you the distance to be able to breathe and not have that extra heat killing you while you're wearing the shield. So we did that. Those should be in any day. We did order them for all my staff in the back kitchen. But for my wait staff and my bartenders, never have they not wearing a mask. They wear their mask consistently every day from the open of business to close. On occasion, they'll come in the back kitchen, take it off to take a breather, as they should. After putting a 12-hour shift or a 9-hour shift, that's acceptable. But never has my waitstaff or my bartenders ever worked in that establishment without wearing a mask. The only two people who have not wearing a mask is myself, Albert, and the kitchen way in the back. I've ordered the shields for myself, I've ordered the shields for Albert, and to make sure that as of September 22nd, we're in compliance with the town ordinance, with Steve, whatever the letter stated that we received.
And you have to remember, like yesterday, at 7 o'clock, I had a young lady walk up to me and say, the lady doesn't have a mask on. The waitress, she's been on shift for 4.5 hours. She wanted to get something to drink. She's drinking out of her own bottle in the corner by herself with no one around her, and she comes to me and says, that lady doesn't have her mask on. It says she's taking a drink. Literally, she took two or three sips out of her own bottle and put her mask back on, and then went to the station, wiped her hands, and went back to another table. And the lady adamantly said to me, she goes, she's not allowed to do that in the building. I said, they're allowed to drink, just like you're allowed to take your mask off and sit down. And she says, I'm not coming back here. I looked at her, I didn't even know what to say.
So, it's very difficult. It's trying times, it's very difficult for everyone. We're very busy, we're very, very busy. And you have the 2, 3, 4% that are gonna complain. No matter what you do, they're gonna complain. But the major complaint was Albert not wearing the mask.
And even before, the
So-
22nd, I'm already starting to wear it every day now.
So, that's where we stand, Steve.
I'll tell you it's just frustrating on our end. You guys were the poster child for us. We were the first ones that we allowed expanded seating. We gave you
Sure.
town parking spaces to use so that you could be very busy. And then it turns around, Steve's not the only one that gets complaints. I've heard more about you guys than everyone else combined. It's just very frustrating for us to go out of our way to make sure you guys can make a living and make a profit and be busy and work those shifts. And then you turn around, and I feel like we're not being treated the same way. I'll open up to the board.
Mr. Chairman, if I may?
Please.
I think this board and me personally considers your restaurant a vital part of this community and our downtown. And as the chairman said, we went not overboard, but we exercised every possibility that we had to facilitate you opening, you taking parking on the street, and utilizing the sidewalk. I think the whole town government was pretty flexible in getting you guys up and running. And it's because we value your contribution to the life of our community. I understand that if you have a medical condition, you don't need to wear a face mask in compliance with the guidelines, but you have an obligation to the community that you serve that if you're not going to wear the mask with close interaction with customers and staff, you should disassociate yourself from that close contact and allow somebody else to do that job. I don't think it's, you can say you have the right not to wear one, and I understand that, but you also have the obligation to distance yourself from close contact with numerous customers and staff. That's my personal opinion.
I'm doing the best that I can. Even now, we're having other people sit the people down, stay at the podium. You know, I started wearing this. Now I'm seating a few more people than usual, but most of the times now I just buzz the waitress. The waitress comes over, takes the menus, and she goes and sits them down, doing the everything that I possibly can. Unfortunately, like my cousin comes in. Now I go to the beach with her every weekend. Now if someone sees me talking to her and she gives me a hug, and then the lady turns to me, she goes, "You're not social distancing." I said, "Well, she's my blood relative, and I spend my time with her."
You got to set a higher standard. I'm sorry.
That's right. You do.
Like I said, like Bill said, you're an anchor of downtown. People look at you, and if they drive by and they can see these offenses, it's in broad daylight. It was 4 o'clock the other day. Then people are going to notice, and they're going to wonder, well, why can't we do that? So it's just not fair to anybody. And forget about the public health risk that it causes. I mean, I know this is hard for everybody, but we need you guys to do better.
My best.
Chairman, am I understanding, effective immediately, you're going to start wearing the face shield, correct?
Yes, I am.
You're going to have a tough enough time once we start ripping High Street up. So.
Yeah. It's tough on all of us.
Everybody's going to work
It's
together.
going to be tougher if we go into the red.
We get the majority of the complaints. From the get-go, all we wanted to do is have it rectified. We got 2 complaints today. Alice took them, and I got one on the machine this afternoon. This from the last night, Sutton Bar and Grill, kitchen staff not wearing it, and they're eating while preparing food. One thing is one thing, but this is something that happens at least 3 or 4 times a week that we get a call. And all we want to do is try to rectify it. I go down there and when you get to a point, you just have enough.
I wasn't preparing food. I walked into the kitchen.
I'm not saying you. I'm just saying.
No, I know which, the lady came and talked to me.
Every single day.
That particular lady that wrote that came in and talked to me. I walked in, I took a to-go order, I put it in a bag, I put 3 serums and I had it in a bag. I grabbed the tongs, I put the bread in the bag, I slid it down, I'm waiting for french fries. They had a side of french fries.
Yep.
I grabbed a piece of bread, I cut it in half, and I sat by the phone there where you can see, and I ate my snack. There was
I
a
get-
piece of
I get
bread.
you.
That was it.
I'm just saying that,
I hadn't eaten since 11:30. It's now 7:30. I didn't order anything to go sit upstairs. I didn't have anybody to come in to watch me. We were really busy, and I couldn't leave the floor. Couldn't leave the
I understand.
phone. I had to go order. I was waiting for Palm Fritz to come up. I had a half a piece of bread. I wasn't preparing the food like making the food.
Yep.
I had a piece of bread.
that's fine. I understand.
And she came to me, she said, "You're not supposed to be eating in the kitchen." I said,
You're not supposed to be in the kitchen.
Yeah, you're absolutely
Right.
correct.
I guess that's the point. People notice, and we're noticing. And as everyone else here tonight has said, whether it's Mike, or Phil Duffy, or Steve, or Tom, or this board, we're available and flexible and willing to do whatever we can to make these businesses in this town survive. This is a tough time for everybody. But frankly, we're lucky that a giant...
In the same lady...
Excuse me. We're lucky that a giant exposure hasn't happened over there yet. I'm baffled as to how it hasn't happened yet. And when it does, bad things are going to happen for all of us. Trust me.
And just so that you know, the same lady that I asked her to give me...
Okay, no, we're not talking about that anymore. Board of Health.
The other issue we get is, I've actually people send my email pictures
Yep.
of having 8 people outside, I mean, not even at a table. They know it's supposed to be 6. And they're outside, in the sidewalk, 8 people, and they're with a picture thrown onto there. I mean, that's something anybody can pick up, but it all comes back to the Board of Health. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
Right. So what are we going to do? I guess that's what I want to
So
know.
let me ask you a question. So I'm going to tell a parent that she has 6 children that they can't sit together on a birthday, a 14-year-old's birthday, that happened the other day.
These are
6 children.
8 grown-up men sitting at the table. Nothing to do with children. All people eating there at the table pushed together. 8 of them.
I didn't say.
Mr. Chair.
Ed. I didn't make it up.
Ed, we all understand, we all sympathize. This is very difficult for all businesses like yourselves. But it's, it's no more difficult. It's as difficult for Breakaway and Simple Man and Wrong Way and the Crystal and the Spruce and the PAV. And I don't have the level of detail of the Board of Health, but just looking at this from 30,000 feet, 7 other businesses came up, talked for 3 minutes, thank you, gone, no complaints. I mean, there's something, and it's telling to me that you're certainly well within your right to go directly to the state and ask questions, but the fact that you are choosing to go to the state versus asking questions to your own local Board of Health, it almost appears like you're trying to go around them to get an answer that you like because you don't like the answer that the Board of Health has been giving you. So, I mean, I think we all want to work with you, but it's obvious that there's something's not clicking with the requirements that. I mean, all we're really trying to do is just keep a level playing field for all the businesses that are involved in this right now. So, I mean, I hope we can find some sort of a resolution, but everyone makes mistakes, everyone can slip up on this, but it just seems like there's been a consistent friction and pushback to some of these social guidance regulations. And I'm sure some of the complaints are frivolous, but some of them probably are not. So I hope we can come to some sort of a resolution here, but it is a little concerning. And you are a very important and vital part of downtown. So, back to the Board of Health on their thoughts on this, but.
Can I respond to that?
Sure, please.
Sure. The first complaint we got was from the state, okay, and I believe the health department had called the state on a couple violations that we had. At that time, you asked the question, why do we go to the state for clarification? I have called Stephen multiple times, and Stephen has not returned my call. I've texted him, I need clarification, does not answer my calls. That is why I've gone to the state to have clarification before I come in front of the board, to have answers. As a town official, Stephen, and no disrespect, you have an obligation to answer to me as an operator of the restaurant. If I have a question, I need to go to the Board of Health to find out what the laws are, what the regulations are, so we can fix the problems. The answer is, talk to us. We're here, we're in town, we're hardworking. We're here to better the town. That's what we're here for. You know me, you've known me for 5 years. I work hard, I take my business very serious. And if you have a complaint, you come and talk to us and we resolve the issues. Not when we try to get in touch with the health department and I don't get my return calls. That's been multiple times, not once, not twice, not 3 times. So I have called and I've documented everything. And that's why I've gone to the state to get clarification of the laws stating that how is someone exempt from wearing a face mask? And that's how I got the answers. That's correct. That is correct. That is correct. That is correct. And I waited on a day that is not your day off. Okay. You've taken my personal calls throughout the 5 years. If I called you, now you're not going to answer my phones on a violation from the state that you reported? That's very, very important to us as a town. All right. I am not above the law.
Let's rein it in. Is there a recommendation from the Board of Health?
Where are we gonna go with this? I don't know.
Yep, so do we.
That's all we've been asking for.
Mr. Chairman, if I
Please.
may. It just strikes me sitting here listening to this tonight. We've had 8 vendors come in, discuss similar issues, similar problems, no significant problems with any of the vendors from the Board of Health. The vendors are all complimentary of dealing with the Board of Health and getting answers from the Board of Health, and with one exception. And it's not just a couple of incidents. I mean, there's a file here on your restaurant of you not rising to the occasion. Instead of splitting hairs, finding the lowest minimum standard that you can comply with, or find someone in government, whether it's at the Board of Health or at the state, that lets you get away with something, maybe you want to step up your game, just like all the other people in this room are stepping up their game. It's not fun. Nobody's having fun. A lot of businesses can't even open, and they're probably never going to open. You have the opportunity to stay alive and keep going. We need you to multiply your effort, go 10% over instead of 1% under. That's if you can't wear a mask and you can't deal in close contact with the public. That shouldn't be something that we even need to talk about. Is there a plexiglass screen you can put around the station so that you're not in contact? You stay behind that and have the waitresses or waiters take the people to their table. Even if you're too busy, then you need to cut back on the number of people you're serving. But you can't continue operating the way you're operating.
We've made the changes. We've ordered all the shields for all the staff that don't.
I'm talking about a change in attitude.
Absolutely.
Not in performance, in your attitude. Because frankly, the attitude isn't coming across the way it needs to here tonight.
We want to do whatever is best for everyone. I have some medical issues, I had some surgeries done that I don't care to discuss at this point in time. I just wanted to, I couldn't wear one, and I didn't even think of a shield until it was brought to my attention a couple weeks ago. I saw a manager wearing one. I said, "Where'd you get that?" And I started going online, and I got a temporary one, and now I got a real nice one coming, so that it doesn't even bother me, so I can talk on the phone.
Any other thoughts from the board? Here's how I'm going to leave this. You guys are on notice, okay? We came here tonight to make sure we're all on the same page. We're not here to bust chops, okay? This is a public health crisis. If you guys mess up, you're not back here. People get sick, okay? Or worse. So we're not here to mess with your livelihood. In fact, I think we've shown throughout the course of this that we're willing to be creative and flexible and nimble to make sure that you can keep that livelihood. We're just asking the same for your customers and all the people that they come into contact with. As one of the biggest restaurants in town, you have a responsibility, and we do too. So if you're not going to keep up your end of the deal, we'll make sure you do one way or another. So hopefully we won't have to see you back here, but you're on notice now, and I wish you a lot of luck.
Thank you, Chairman.
Next item on the agenda, Hubcraft draft. You guys are good? Thank you. We have a draft host community agreement from the Hubcraft. Are they here tonight? No.
One down at Green Street.
Yes. This is, we're just approving, we have, okay. Representative Hubcraft have agreed to the provisions of it says Temple Host Community Agreement as drafted by the town solicitor to site a marijuana cultivation facility at 1R and 3R Green Street in Clinton. Anything on this?
Yeah, so that host community agreement, it's essentially it's verbatim the same as the last host community agreement that the board signed. So actually, there might have been one provision there that, in the copies that you folks
One that
have.
was struck
So
out?
we have the one here that needs to be signed, but it's essentially the same as the last host community agreement. The terms are all the same, so it's identical to the one that was signed back in July.
What's the pleasure of the board?
Have any questions?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the host agreement that's been reviewed by town council and town administrator, and is consistent with the previous.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? 5-0. The town treasurer is seeking direction from the Board of Selectmen on collections of outstanding personal property taxes for businesses in Clinton. One idea was to withhold approval of any license renewals until the taxes are paid or there is an agreed-upon payment plan with the town. Michael, do you want me to take this, or you want to? I guess I'm going to take it. The list is in the packets, and I don't think this is something that has to be acted on tonight because we have some time to work on this, but
Mr. Kerry, if I may make a suggestion, I agree with that 100% as far as not issuing any license to bills, taxes outstanding, okay, right?
Yep.
And also, on building permits, okay, right? I think it'd be a good idea if we let the building inspector know if anybody applies for any permits, like every town around is, the first thing they ask for are all the taxes paid. Okay, that would save a lot of aggravation down the road.
thank you.
Yeah.
Michael, what's expected of us from tonight on this? Is this something we're going to start talking about, or this is the outstanding property tax thing from the assessors and the town collector?
Right. I think they just wanted to see if it's something that we wanted to pursue with license renewal. That would probably be the first big step. That if it's something that we can let all of the business owners know that it's something that the board is going to consider at license renewal time at the beginning of the year. So we can certainly send out a letter saying that this is going to be part of their renewal to have this done.
And just for clarification, it'd be there were liquor licenses and common victual licenses?
Right. Would be those would be the two biggest that we have. I don't think there are any, I forget the list now, whether there's any Class 2, but the big ones are the common vic and the liquor license.
Any discussion from the board, or any, I guess, what's the pleasure of the board? You want to think about this one, move forward?
Mr. Chairman, I have no problem with the idea of blocking licenses for unpaid taxes, but I would like to take the opportunity to hear from the treasurer and the chairman of the Board of Assessors as well on the topic. The personal property tax thing really bugs me. So I would just like a clear direction from those two people on the recommendation they're making for us to follow, or maybe refer it to the surplus property tax committee. It's a similar issue.
Do you think we could get them in here, see if they...
Sure, I can invite them to the next meeting, because there are, and to Mr. Connolly's point, there are other businesses that aren't licensed as well through our office, so then how do we handle those? If we want to be fair to everyone, I guess there should be a comprehensive plan for how to deal with it. So we can certainly invite the treasurer and chair of the assessors in at the next meeting.
That'd be great, thank you.
For their wisdom and counsel
It's always welcome.
before we move forward.
Thank you. Next item, Doreen McNamara is requesting approval to donate a tree to be planted in front of Town Hall in memory of her husband, John Thumb McNamara, who served the town of Clinton for numerous years as a fire captain, member of the Board of Selectmen, and chair of the Retirement Board. Anything on this, Michael? Straightforward?
Yeah, no, just to add, Mr. Chair, I was approached by Mrs. McNamara. I did discuss with the facility director, and, we do have some areas whether she was looking at outside the retirement board in the front of the building, because that's where he served, but the retirement board's now moving to the other side of the building. So I know Russ did indicate that he's open to kind of looking at the area and see what would work best. He does, we did have a tree in that, a cherry tree that needed to be removed, that it was no longer, it was diseased and needed to be removed, so we took that out. And then there was a tree in front of the clerk's office that was removed. So it is pretty, there were two trees in those spots, and it is looking pretty barren right now. So he did want to do some landscaping. There was a big stone, a big rock that was taken out of the back, and we did some drainage work. So he was going to kind of have some ideas of using that stone or maybe a tree and doing some landscaping in the front of the building. So this could work out if it's something that everyone feels would be a good thing. I think he could work it into his landscaping plan.
And time.
I'll second that. Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? We welcome the donation and appreciate it, and I think it'll be a nice memorial for Mr. McNamara. Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0.
Thank you, and I just, wanted to just thank Mrs. McNamara for her donation as well, but also for the service and work of her husband, Thumb McNamara. He was a great guy, did a lot for this community, and he's very sorely missed. He was taken much too young, too soon. So it needs to be a nice remembrance, so thank you.
Munis accounting software update. The town solicitor is completing negotiations on a contract to implement a new accounting software package for municipal operations.
Wow. Just briefly, we had started this negotiation. It's probably over a year ago now. Then it got off track, and then of course COVID hit this year. So we've resurrected that. We've reached out to the vendor. I believe it's Tyler Technologies. We already do have a couple black line drafts. So I anticipate we should be able to get this resolved probably within the next month. Have a final contract. We did hear from Tyler Technologies, due to the fact that some time has gone by, they probably are going to have to give us another quotation, but the actual terms of the contract, the proposed terms, haven't changed. So I'm comfortable we should be able to get something negotiated within the next month.
It was a pretty thick contract. There were some major issues that were kind of stalled there, so if this can get back on track. It's a huge overview of our systems. It's not going to come easy. It's probably, if we can get started in the near future, we probably wouldn't be looking to do the accounting piece till next summer. And then there are different modules that we're getting, and then they would be implemented in phases. So this is a huge undertaking. The schools will be involved as well too. It's going to be the data transfer and the training and the operations to sync all the departments together. It's a major project. So certainly want to get it going and get it on track, but this will probably be one of the major items that you might be hearing about as we go forward, because it's not as though they just come in and install some software and they're done. It's probably a 2-year operation to really get it working and implemented and working the way it should be.
The negotiation's the easy part.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Mr. Chair, to that point, Bob and Mike, is there anything in the contract currently that speaks to expected training, time of training, consulting for, 3 months, 4 months down the road? Because, like, to your point, I agree with you. This is going to be a seismic shift to the way we do things, and it's not going to be just dropping off, uploading a software package and us running with it. So I'm assuming that there's some sort of a training package involved in this, and I would hope that, I think if the smart thing to do would be to have somebody, even if it's some sort of a on-call service, if we get stuck or something like that. Is there anything baked into this contract that speaks to that?
There is. That's a good point. It is a big piece of the contract, is to do the training, and they do have a really strong help desk and continual support afterwards. But even just during implementation, it's going to be a huge training schedule. I mean, weeks and weeks of training. So in addition to staff having to learn the system, we then have to figure out a plan of keeping our office operations going too. If there's offices that only have one person, and if they're in training for 2 weeks, we still have to keep that office running as well too. But that's a big piece of it. We did decide to go with the cloud option because I think as we were meeting with the departments, if we housed it ourselves, then we would have to pay for all the hardware, we'd have to maintain it, and if it goes down, it's on our dime. So this way, by having it in the cloud, that's all on them, and they make sure that it's up and running continually for us. It's a remotely accessible, so we thought it would be a great option, but it doesn't minimize learning the system. It's a very large system that does everything that you want it to do. So really trying to learn how it works and how it integrates and operates. It's a powerful system. It's going to have great access to a lot of data. But I'm sure everyone that works in big companies knows to get it up and running is a tough part. And once it's running and everyone's used to it, it's great. It's a great piece of software to have, but it takes a while to get there.
Okay, and not to get too much in the weeds, but we will have, I'm assuming there'll be some sort of data backup, the physical data backup that we'll have in case, because I think there's a lot of benefits of the cloud, and it's very efficient, and I agree with all the points that you made, but we will have some type of a data backup available, won't we?
I think they provide multiple backups, but I think it was going to be provided by the company, again, so that someone here, we wouldn't have to worry about it or say that something goes down and we didn't see it. So I think they're going to be responsible for backup. I can check with them whether they would allow us to have a physical backup on our end. We can check with them.
Okay.
But they were, in the presentation, they spoke to that very strongly, that they have multiple backups that they have.
Fair enough. Thanks, Mike.
I mean, that would be the whole benefit of going with a cloud-based system where the backup is basically managed by the host, not us. Because then you're getting back into having on-site servers and all the equipment that you were just referring to.
Okay, so it's either one or the other, basically.
Yeah, I think pretty much. Like we as Mr. Copa said, we won't have any servers or any hardware based here. It's all going to be on the vendor's side. We'll have, like, for the collector and treasurer, we'll have the, way to take payments and the cash aspect of it. But in terms of all the hardware, it'll be very little on our end. So.
Gotcha. Okay.
And again, whenever there's an upgrade or they upgrade their equipment, it's all on them. So it's not like us every couple of years, we have to buy new servers, and we have to then, pay to come in and keep everything up to date. So.
I mean, we'll have the ability to print out reports, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, if the worst case scenario, yeah. Okay.
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely.
Any further?
So I think it's going to be a great thing when we get there to have the whole town integrated. It'll be good, but it's going to be a process to get there. So.
Just one more thing, Mr. Chair. Is the plan are the schools and the town going to be trained at the same time? Is it going to be all part of one initiative?
Yeah, definitely. It'll all be part of the same initiative, based on whatever the schedule is as to, whether they get trained here or they do their own, but it's all part of the same initiative to tie them in.
Okay.
They have a Tyler product right now through their school accounting. They have their own school accounting system separate from the town. They have to still process all their payments on our general ledger, and our chart of accounts has to still come through the accountant. But they manage their own internal system, and they use a Tyler product for that.
Gotcha.
So at least they have a little bit more familiarity with their system than we do on our end here. But definitely, it's all going to happen at the same time, and that they will get rid of that module that they have, which is a kind of a school-only module, and they'll tie into the town. So, but we've talked to, and that what really sold us, because we talked to a lot of communities, and the communities felt that the best tie-in with the schools was the Munis piece. So that's why we ended up going with them. And we did have Dr. Meyer and the business manager at all of our meetings that we discussed this for the recommendation. They were very involved, so I know they were very excited about the product as well too, but they have a little bit of a leg up on us because they already know Tyler. I mean, Munis is going to be different than what they have, but at least they know the Tyler platform.
What's the tentative timeline for the end of the negotiations for the purchasing of the software package? Or is there one?
Yeah, I think,
Negotiating the legal terms, I think we should, within a month or so, we should, there'll still be some back and forth, typical delay, but,
Sure.
I think within a month we should have that. There may be other issues that come up regarding that are non-legal, just regarding the scope, the training, and things like that, so.
Okay.
But we have reached out, we've got it back on track. Like I said, we were negotiating, it has to be a year ago now, then the holidays came and COVID, so, there was a gap there. But, we're back in contact with Tyler, so.
Okay.
and a lot of the issues have been identified, so there was, several pages of comments that the councils have exchanged back and forth and trying to work it out, so.
Yeah, we'll get there.
All right, yep, we'll just keep it on the radar. I think that's great. Thank you guys for bringing that back up into negotiations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on, 2020 Board and Commission appointments. The only interest we've received are for the Conservation Commission, which I've reached out to the chair there just to get her input, and the Cultural Council. I'm looking now and seeing there aren't any vacancies on the Cultural Councils, so...
No, I think those are the only two that I've gotten since we posted, since we advertised. So it was the Parks and Rec and then the boards and commissions, and I've only gotten two so far. So I haven't got anything new that hasn't come.
How does that work when someone expresses interest in the Cultural Council and there's no vacancies on it? That's a set number, or do we... How does that work?
I'm
All right.
sorry. I didn't.
Is
It must be established by bylaw.
I don't see any vacancies in the cultural council, so we can't appoint somebody to that if there's no...
Well, the cultural council is that they do have terms, and I think there are a couple of people, because I know they were looking for some people, because I know Terry Gano serves on that, so he was asking if we had any interest in cultural council, because they have, at the cultural council, there's mandatory term limits. So they can only serve 2 terms, and then they have to get off. So I think they have people that are on there that are just kind of hang on because they don't have anyone else to replace them.
Yeah.
And I think technically they're supposed to rotate off the board. So if there were new people, they certainly would be space for them. And the cultural council in Clinton, the way that we had it set up, it can go from, I think it was from 7 to 22 members or something. We try to keep it manageable. I think we were keeping it at 9. So certainly you can always add people up to the 22 number. But I think in addition to that, some of the people that are currently on there need to rotate off under the term limits that the state imposes on that board.
But the risk of dragging this out, this person says in the email I'm seeing, looking for more details. Did we get back to her on that to make sure?
Yes, I did respond back to her and let her know, what it did and what it was all about. So she still seemed interested.
Okay.
Did you want to wait until you heard back?
On the conservation, yes.
You do, okay.
If you want to wait until next meeting to nail these both down,
That makes it easier.
all right. We're still looking for help, people. Please contact us if you're interested in volunteering. We'll hold off on that for now. Town Hall auditorium use, Mr. Swan, has requested use of the auditorium for Tuesday, September 29th from 5:30 to 9 p.m. for an issues forum with candidates for state representative in the 12th Worcester District that will be sponsored by Civic USA. It's not open to the public, but it will be broadcast, I believe, at a later date. What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we authorize the use of the Town Hall auditorium for that purpose.
I'll second that motion.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion?
Just that, Mike, maybe we got to get together with Jeff too. I don't know if he's familiar with some of the fees and everything like that, the rental fees and the janitorial fees. Have we communicated any of that to Jeff yet?
No, I think we had done, because it was kind of a community service that was being done, and it wasn't open to the public. It was just having like 5 people coming in. I think it was just kind of a public service that we were offering, so that's acceptable to the board.
That's
I think
fine.
that's what he would be looking for.
Mr. Chairman, just to formalize it, I make a motion that we waive all fees and any other costs associated with this because it is a public service to the
I'll second
community.
that motion.
All right, we'll make that an amendment. We'll vote on the amendment. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? 5-0. Good luck, Mr. Swan. Thanks for doing it. Next up, liquor license, home rule petition, public hearing. The town administrator was notified yesterday that the Joint Committee on Consumer Protection and Professional Licensure will conduct a virtual public hearing this Friday, September 18th, from 1 to 3 p.m. to review legislative matters under their jurisdiction. The home rule petition for Clinton, Senate Bill 2897, requesting additional liquor licenses on the docket for this, is on the docket for this meeting, and written testimony in support of this bill can be submitted to the committee for review. What is the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I think the town administrator indicated that a letter would be an appropriate method of communicating our concerns. I would just ask that the letter, whether if it's drafted by the town administrator, town council, and yourself, make it clear that we're not asking for 6 new licenses, that an attempt, as complicated as it is, an attempt be made to put some clarity in that letter so they understand where half of them are just stabilizing the existing licenses that are out there.
Understood. So, do we need a motion on this, or will this?
Sure, yeah,
That's
just
a
to
motion,
show the
Mr.
board's
Chairman.
support, and if we could put something together and the chairs are willing to sign it, that'd be great. And I think it shows a good, kind of a good input. They are doing a virtual hearing, and I guess you can sign up to go on Zoom to speak to them, but they prefer the written testimony, and they have it on record, and they don't have to worry about too many people signing up. So that would be perfect. I think they would really, that would go a long way. So, and I appreciate the points, so we can get a clarification in there about what we really wanted to say, you know. And even, you know, to emphasize too, I think through the Government Affairs Committee, they were also looking at you know, economic development opportunities in the future for the town, for those couple of the ones that would be over the stabilization, that we need them, because when we get approached, we don't have the ability to bring in new businesses here and to get another good restaurant or another business. Even we were fortunate because the brewery down on Sterling Street, you know, they wanted a pouring license to go along with their brewery, and we didn't have any to give them. But there is, the state does allow, if you have a state brewery license, you can't have a farmer's pouring license to go along with it, so that covered us. But if we didn't have that ability, we wouldn't have any way to help them out. So those are the type of things that we're looking at as to why we want more licenses.
And the other part of the problem is we have unutilized licenses that have been out there for a couple of years, and we have no ability to bring those back into the fold for another opportunity, because if we call it in, it goes away. Right. So just if you could make that effort in the letter to make it clear, we're not asking for 6 new licenses. We're asking for, I think it's either 2 or 3 above and beyond existing.
Right, with 3 above what we currently need to stabilize our inventory.
There's a motion, couldn't tell if there was a second.
I'll second that.
Second, motion made, seconded, any discussion?
Mr. Chair?
Yep.
Kind of related to this. Mike, do we need to have, should we have somebody, like, available that calls into this virtual meeting that is on September 18th from 1 to 3? I mean, is there a possibility that someone running that meeting could want to pose a question to somebody from Clinton to the usage of the license, and if we don't have anyone on, like, it would lessen our chances of getting approval?
Sure, I can look into that. I mean, anyone can sign up to be on if you wanted to make testimony in person, so I can ask if there's an ability just to watch it. I assume they're streaming it, or you can watch it because it's a public meeting, so I think there would be an ability to watch it. So I'll look into what we can, definitely, I'm almost positive that you can monitor it, but I'll look into if there's a way to be available for questions if anyone on the committee did want to ask us a question. That's a good point. Yeah, so I'll see.
I can be available. And my wife did one of these last night. Yeah, for the most part, they're just, you know, looking to get things on the record and not, it's not a badgering kind of thing. So hopefully, I mean, I should be available. I'll double check my calendar to answer questions, but I think if we get something for sure on writing to state clearly what we want, that's
Yeah, or even like Phil, something, just have it on the background while he's working, just in case. I have no idea how these things work, so maybe it's, and that's why I asked the question. It might be not needed at all, but, you know, just in case someone did have a question about it, might not be the worst idea to have somebody from the town on call for that meeing.
Thank you.
No, absolutely, because in the past, when they've done these, we've actually gone into Boston, so we were always there. So I'd be happy to monitor it if they allow us to do that. Because, yeah, because again, it just shows how important it is to us by being there, you know.
Sure.
But we rely on our legislators to try to monitor it and bring and get it through the process. But I think it does make an impact when the local officials take the time to give the input.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, and speaking of which, I wanted to thank Senator Tran for pushing this forward. We appreciate it. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0. Michael, I'll touch base with you offline as far as the
Thank
letter
you.
and monitoring that. Goals and objective discussion. Ed, you got anything on this?
I have to put myself at the mercy of the board. I have yet to make that updated spreadsheet that I've been talking about for the last 2 meetings. So that is a absolute
You've got an
absolute
extra week in September to get this one done. So
yes,
in October.
Yes, I will promise a second time to have it for the next meeting.
Thank you.
Oh. We did have a municipal evaluation subcommittee meeting, so I'm saying that ate into a little bit of my time.
Do you want to, but then would you want to talk about that to lead off committee reports?
Yeah, are we moving right into that right now?
Please.
Yeah, so me, Selectman Kovas, Mike Ward, and Bob Gibbons were able to get together. We picked up, me and Mike had met once or twice before COVID broke, discussing this, but very quickly, we did take a look at the existing evaluation that the Personnel Board came up with, and we came to the conclusion as a subcommittee that that's probably not appropriate to use to evaluate the town administrator. So Selectman Kovas suggested some other towns that he had seen, and I know Bob had a chance to take a look at some too. So me and Matt's goal for the next meeting is to review some of these other municipalities, their evaluation system, and see if we can put something together that is going to be will be a better fit. And then we did decide that the what's on the books for the evaluation system that's on the books is good for Michael to start looking at implementing that to the people that are directly underneath him in the hierarchy, and then with each kind of step down from Michael to the department heads to workers, there may be some subtle differences because there's obviously different expectations if you're a supervisor versus if you're in more of an executing type of role. But that's something that he's going to start taking a look at for our next meeting. I did ask Michael also just to send a letter out to, or an email notification out to some of the department heads, just to let them know that this is kind of in the works, so they're not caught out of the blue in a month or so when we start talking about it, so they'll be a little bit more prepared. And very briefly, we talked about some metrics that we might want to use for evaluation, and to that point, we discussed possibility of implementing time cards and GPS on town vehicles.
Thank you.
I just want to make one note that we had Christine Dinan from the Personnel Board also joined the
Yes,
meeting.
thank you. I apologize for that. That is correct. And we're still looking to get one more member on the subcommittee, right? A non-union municipal employee.
Right, employee representative, so, we'll have employee representatives, so there'll be kind of a well-rounded group to look at all the different aspects.
Okay. That's it. Thank you.
Just a question, Mr. Chairman. Of course. Did we ever appoint a town employee to the Personnel Board?
No, not yet. That I think we'll do at the same time when we ask for any recommendations on someone to serve on the subcommittee. Also ask people to serve on the Personnel Board as the employee rep, and then we can bring that to the Selectmen for your next meeting. Your next meeting will be before the Personnel Board's October meeting, so if you're able to do that at your next board meeting, then they'll have that person on board. We still are looking for a community member for the Personnel Board for Union Castillo seat. So if anyone out there is interested, please send your name in as well too. So the employee member will help, but I think there may be some restrictions on what that employee can do and can't do, but at least they'll have 4 voting members, and then we'll just be down 1 at that time.
Thank you.
I have a question. Is there any update on the Finance Committee appointments?
No, I was approached.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I think could answer that.
I ran into Mr. Latini on the street a couple of weeks ago. He wanted to make sure we were on board as far as myself and Mr. Conley representing our board. I guess the idea is to have the 2 co-chairs of the Finance Committee and the 2 members of our Finance Subcommittee to work with Mr. Engano, but I haven't heard. I told him, we were ready and able to help out. I haven't heard anything further, so I don't know if Mr. Engano's I thought he mentioned September as far as a cutoff date for applications, but I don't have any details.
Yeah, I believe he was asking for community interest, and he did have a deadline that had just recently passed. and I know he was asking for the members of the Budget Subcommittee to help review some of those resumes in order to give him some guidance. The appointment is by the town moderator, but he was looking for the 2 Selectmen Budget Committee and 2 Finance Committee members to try to help him with some recommendations. So I haven't heard that he got a date to put that together yet, but I assume it should be very shortly.
Okay, we're good to go. One thing on your, making Clinton, the beautification, we gotta come up with a good name for that one.
Image
We
advisory.
got a branding issue there. Just to make it official, I double-checked emails, and in case it wasn't clear, I'll just make it official to appoint Jason Burton and Dale D'Amico to that, and if you need more help, please let us know. So,
And I also think, did Carrie Salva reach out?
I don't think I met her, but that might
Okay.
have got lost in the shuffle if she did.
For some reason, I thought,
If she's interested, yeah.
I'll reach back out to
her.
her.
So that's easy. As I mentioned earlier, I signed the contracts for the High Street project this morning, so Mr. Duffy will be sending out notices on that, and he mentioned that the Downtown Steering Committee will be getting together soon just to make sure we're all on the same page there. Furthermore, the Cable Committee met on September 3rd. Among other things, we approved contract tentative pending last round of negotiation, which I don't know if we've heard anything on that.
No, I haven't. I sent, after that meeting, the next day, I sent our, I won't even call it a counter proposal, most of the things we agreed to, but I haven't heard back from Comcast. I'll follow up with him tomorrow, but I sent that out the following day, so it's been...
We're getting close.
Yeah,
We
should be
also
there.
got an update on the executive director search, which has hit a bit of a stumbling block, but we're resetting and going in a different direction. Hopefully we'll have an update on that, and we talked also, our ongoing stuff is basically the executive director, the station management and equipment, and how we're going to deal with sports programming for what it is this year. So it was a good meeting, and hopefully when our consultant gets back, he had taken a little break. He was going to be giving us an update on the executive director, and hopefully we'll have an update at our next meeting. Any other committee reports?
Mr. Chairman, it's not really a committee report per se, but we did ask the town administrator to get Matt and myself on the agenda for Parks and Recreation, to meet with them to walk them through the expectations for ongoing management of Fuller Field and the technical parts of how they have to operate as separate board up until December or whenever the legislation is final.
Terrific.
But we've asked to be on their agenda.
To come. The only thing I missed earlier, it's one of my pet projects. I saw that the Attorney General signed off on our bylaw proposition. Do we have to, does that move forward automatically, or do we have to do something to petition the legislature as far as the name change?
We already forwarded, didn't we?
I don't think I've done one of these before. The AG's okay with it? Do we have to do anything to get it to the general court, or they'll pick it up from here?
The Attorney General approved the
There's something like this handcuff
All
sponsor or
four
something?
home rule petitions were forwarded to our legislators.
Okay. Question?
The AG, because the AG has to deal with all those bylaw changes within a set period of time. So the AG approved the bylaw change, but of course it's contingent, that approval by the AG's office is contingent on the special legislation getting finally approved.
Okay.
But we still have to just
It's in the
wait.
channel. Okay. That's all I need.
So, and I can find out the status. This liquor license bill was gone to committee for a hearing. We've also submitted all the other ones to the legislators. I haven't gotten any status on what's been filed, bill numbers, where it's in committee, or what's happening. So I'll ask them on the other three, what's happening, because we had the select board one, in Fuller Field,
And there were some questions on the Fuller Field. We had gotten some questions from Rep. Naughton's office that we responded to, but I haven't seen a bill number.
from their House and Senate council, had some questions on what the town was trying to do on that, with that legislation. So, talking about open space land and conveying rights of open space land, so I know they were working with town council on that. I think we disagreed with their opinion, but you know, in abundance of caution, if we want to do it their way, I don't think we're opposed to it, but we didn't. I'm not a lawyer, but I didn't agree with their analysis. But,
Nor did I, but...
All right. Anything else? I'll accept the motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
All's in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Good night.